So Konami is trying to simplify Yu-Gi-Oh. I think this is a really good thing. So I've been having this feeling for a while now, ever since like we began things like Fire Kings, Trap Tricks, and now just released today Monarchs. I'm noticing a pattern and trend with Konami, even going back to crossover breakers where we got decks like Rizal and Malice, which if you compare them to the onslaught of Snake Ass that we had last format and tier limits before that, you would be like, these decks aren't good compared to those full power decks from a format or two ago. However, with that being said, I think that's on purpose. I think that's by design. I actually think Konami is trying to slow down Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, hear me out for a second. A lot of people are like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is fast, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is hard to grasp. Well, if you guys look at these themes, only one deck really that's modern is kind of in line to Konami not really trying to slow the game down, and that's Malice. Malice takes a lot of skill, a lot of complexity to get out of some of their weird, awkward hands. But even with Malice being as underpowered as they are compared to a deck like Yubel, for example, Yubel was just a cash grab out of day by Konami just to get Yugi Boomers in who love to play heroes, but that's besides the point. When you look at a deck like Rizal, that's literally simplified. Normal go exit, search sword, sword, go ice, normal summon ice, make detonator, sword, and exit would have made dual drive, set up your board, and pass. That is a real easy deck to play. And like I've said before in previous videos, Rizal does have their power and skill into the technical play, which rewards the skillful player of that deck. The deck still is a simplified deck to understand. I even noticing this with Blue Eyes, where Blue Eyes doesn't really take that much difficulty to pilot and or play. Number one Sage, go search out the Maiden, pitch Trap, Trap set the spell, go get the field spell. I'm sorry, you link it to Sage in the field spell, make Blue Eyes monsters, bring out Maiden, make Synchro, pass. Monarchs that we just got released today. If you guys don't know what Monarchs do, for you guys that may have joined Yu-Gi-Oh! Within the past couple years, let me guys tell you what Domain Monarchs is all about. Normal summon monster. Effect to get an additional normal summon. Play field spell that says your opponent's locked out of their extra deck. Tribute summon for monster. Pass. You know what that very reminds me of? That reminds me of a deck like Runic. Runic is a stun deck that's also very simple, but it makes people hate the game. Domain Monarchs, when it was a deck back in 2016, was not only a structure deck, which got a lot of Yugi Boomers to play the game because it was a simple deck, reminding a lot of players of a simple time when we played this game back in 2003 to 2005, where Monarchs was the best thing, where the best thing was Tribute Summon for Caius. Caius managed that monster, attack for 2400 directly. Domain Monarchs gave us Yugi Boomers the feeling of feeling back in the day to have a deck that power creeps the current metagame of 2016, which I believe was Pendulum. My memory may be off because that was 9 years ago, and I'm in my mid-30s, so the memory is not as sharp as it used to be. So since Konami just announced new Monarch support today, it just made me realize, considering we just had Rizal, Malice, which are both simple decks, with the exception of Malice being a little more difficult. We've had Fire Kings make a comeback, which is another simple deck, but good deck. I think Konami is doing an awesome job at slowing the game down, because I think that's one thing Yu-Gi-Oh! Has had over the past couple years that people have been complaining about. The game is too damn complicated. The game is too fast-paced. Now, Rizal, Malice, Fire Kings, I'm pretty sure Monarchs, and then obviously when we have Yummies and things like that, like K9 deck, they are going to be fast in comparison to decks from 10 years ago. But the main thing I'm not seeing a lot of players talk about is how simple these decks are to learn. And that's a good thing for the game. Because Konami has an onboarding problem that a lot of players have been talking about for a while now, where it is difficult as hell to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's mainly because decks are complicated to learn. A lot of people don't want to just get into Yu-Gi-Oh!, try to build a little fun deck that plays equipped spells like United We Stand, like we did back in 2002. Then you go against a deck like, let's say, for example, Full Power Telements on Master Duel, and they're Chain Link 1, 2, 3. I don't know about you guys, but I just learned about how to properly do chain links probably during the lockdown, if I'm being 100% honest. I was always one of those guys that chain links confused the hell out of me. Despite me being somewhat decent at the game with my technical play, Chain links was always something I was never the best at, and I had to always have a judge at a big event hold my hand. If you guys ever seen me at a big event, I'm like one of the first guys that's like, judge, judge, judge. So chain links are hard, and I think nowadays the game is going to be a lot easier because decks are getting a lot simpler, which should, in theory, bring in more players. Konami has to admit, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not dying, but it will die eventually if we don't get new players. Big portion of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community is slowly aging out of the game. Now, I did talk about my most recent video, why I still play Yu-Gi-Oh! In my mid-30s, and that's awesome for me that I'm going to still grind it out and play Yu-Gi-Oh! Into probably my 40s and 50s if life let me, depending on what I'm doing in my life. And I might not be as active as I am now, but I'm still going to be somewhat active in the aspect, man, even if it's just on YouTube. But I'm not the average player. I'm a diehard Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. The average Yu-Gi-Oh! Player will easily jump ship for it in the card game if he see them fit. The average Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, once they hit a certain age, they will let life pressure get to them, and sometimes rightfully so, no judgment here, and take a break from the game and step back and focus on other things. That's the natural progression in life. So now that we also have a younger batch of early 20s, late teens, like my nephews, they're like 17, 18, I think their generation is still fresh into the game, and I can see their generation getting into it. The kids who grew up essentially watching Zexu when they were younger, that's like the last really good generation that got hooked on Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I know nobody, like my son's generation would have been the one that should have gotten hooked on Arc 5 and the season, I think Brains that is, but no little kids I know watch Brains. No little kids I know watch Arc 5. I think my nephews watch that stuff. But no kids, that's like my son's age. My son's 12, by the way, for you guys that do not know. He'll be 13 this year. No kid in his age group watches Yu-Gi-Oh! And the very few kids that watch Yu-Gi-Oh! In his age group or that play that is, their dad, their older brother, taught them the game. Most of them, though, they don't care. And ain't nothing wrong with that for not caring because, like, at the end of the day, it's just a card game, right? However, most kids nowadays are really into Fortnite and Pokemon. Pokemon doesn't have an onboarding issue because it's a simple game to play. So I think with Yu-Gi-Oh! Simplifying its game as a whole, with the decks being easier to play, it's a good thing. Now, we're going to get players saying, oh, this is crap. These decks are helmet. Put a helmet on like you're special. But at the end of the damn day, no matter if the deck is helmet or not, as someone who transitioned from playing Heroes, which is a really tier 2.5 to tier 3 rogue deck, and I've watched it go from a tier 2 rogue deck to a tier 3 rogue deck or a tier 4. At one point, it was tier 1.5, almost tier 1. I can honestly say the biggest difference between playing rogue and playing a full power meta deck that's simple there is the technical play. Heroes had technical play, but the main reason decks like Heroes win is because my opponent didn't know what the hell was going on half of the time and they misplayed a lot. A deck like Rizal, a deck like Tearlaments, a deck like any meta deck, if you guys watch this in the future, people know how to play against it. People know what to side against it. You really have to be on your P's and Q's with the technical play, or you will lose 99.9% of the time. You can't misplay. And this is something I used to get wrong a lot, which is probably why my channel was stagnant up until recent because I had to switch my mindset of the way I looked at these meta decks and stop being a goofy rogue player who think, oh, if you're playing meta, you're bad. Fact of the matter is, dude, playing meta decks, you learn a lot from it. Playing rogue decks, you learn a lot from, but you learn two different skills. I think the best players in this game, like a Jeff Jones, for example, play both. He's a guy that I know has played both. He's actually innovated decks. I've seen him do it in real life, watching his history. So to wrap all this video up, because I'm kind of rambling at this point, and I know that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for more. Also, make sure you guys like the video, leave a comment, because the comments help me push me in the algorithm. Konami's doing a good thing by simplifying these decks. And I won't be surprised if we continue to get more simplified Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi Boomer decks moving forward. I think we're ushering in a new era of Yu-Gi-Oh! We're going to get more simple decks like Rizal, more decks like Malice. And that way, a lot of people can win. Because Konami, what they're really trying to do, in my opinion, is keep the boomers happy so they won't jump ship to other card games, as well as bring in new people to understand these new decks that don't take a higher skill level to win. There's a reason why Tempai became a thing, and there's a reason why a lot of players got in the game to play Tempai, because The deck's simple, but if you have two Templar players playing against each other, there's gonna be a big luck involved. However, the person who knows the technical play is gonna win the most. So tell me what you guys think about this topic. Comment section down below. Like I said, like the video if you're new here. Want to subscribe for more. We're on the road to 23K subs and we need 900 more. Now, I know we can do it hopefully by next month. So it's your boy Rogue and I'm signing out. Peace. See you guys in the next video.